Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today on the channel we're going to talk about what the heck are these elites preparing for? Do they know something that we don't? And what's going on with all of the lines being drawn around the world right now? There's something brewing in the shadows and we need to talk about it. Let's get to it. Okay, so if you're new to this channel, which I highly doubt you are because my videos don't get suggested anymore, but if you are, click subscribe because most of my videos are going to be of a quality 10 times better than this one. We talk about practical stuff, we talk about survival gear, we talk about how things work in the preparedness sphere, we talk about how-to videos, what to do if such and such happens in a disaster scenario. So check out my other vids. Actually, you know what? Just go there right now if you're new because I don't want to corrupt you and send you packing on the first day. So go do that right now. Anyways, for the rest of you, you're going to have to forgive me. I'm a few IQ points shy of my usual lower than average IQ today because I had to expose myself to an episode, the first ever episode I watched of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Just because my buddy Ron over at Atlas Survival Shelters was on a recent episode where he had built Kim and what's the other one? Chloe and whoever the hell else, a bunker, okay? A doomsday bunker. The Kardashians are prepping for doomsday. Now, I'm not going to say much, but all I know is that Kim's single now. She's got a lot of Skrilla to burn, and she's got a doomsday bunker. So, holla at your boy. I can keep you safe when it hits the fan because you know Kanye, he's going to go full-on cannibal. He's going to be a cult leader when the crap hits the fan. You know it. No, with all due respect, you know, when I say that I get dumbed down watching shows like that, it's not because I think the celebrities themselves are dumb. I mean, you don't become that stinking rich being dumb. You got to be doing something right, okay? Call me. No, anyways, seriously. I know that celebrities, they have their share of struggles that we don't see on the camera. And I realize that more and more. I don't consider myself a celebrity, but I do sympathize now with people who are in the public spotlight because it's a different kind of stress that you can't really explain being in the public eye all the time. Not that I'm even remotely close to that level whatsoever, and I don't delude myself to even thinking I'm on that scale. But I do know that there's a lot that you don't see, and I don't think we should dehumanize people just because, you know, they're on these stupid sitcoms and reality TV shows that I have absolutely no patience for whatsoever. But the fact is, prepping is going mainstream. What does this mean? Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? This means a few things. This means that it's great that we as preppers are now vindicated. Unfortunately, the commercialization of preparedness is going to reach critical levels to a point where everything becomes watered down and devalued, and the true raw nature of what survival is all about and survivalism is all about is going to be definitely dumbed down and watered down to a great degree. Regardless, it's great to know that more people are going to take preparedness seriously. If that means that pop cultural icons like the Kardashians have to lead the way, hey, it's less zombies breaking through your window when the crap hits the fan, all right? Remember, there was a time post-World War II when everybody was a prepper. It was just expected. In fact, it was seen as prestigious if you had a bunker or if you were prepared, if you had your shelter in your basement. These things were just expected. I think we could potentially get to that point again. There's a reason why. There is a reason why the doomsday clock is currently closer to midnight than it's ever been before. If you're Steven Pinker, who's a skeptic of the whole idea that things are becoming worse, and he creates some good points and arguments to show that, you know, technological deflation has raised the standard of living around the world. Things are generally better. You know, there's less people dying of preventable diseases, and on the whole, there's less conflict. You know, we haven't seen a giga-death scenario. If you don't know what a giga-death scenario is, go watch some of my other videos that explain it all. We haven't experienced one of those in many, many decades. In spite of all the news media coverage of the bad stuff that's going on in the world, he actually argues that things aren't getting that bad, okay? But one cannot deny that there are pieces on the chessboard being moved into position. If you look at the battle lines that are being drawn, North Korea, South Korea, China, Taiwan, that whole region, that's going to be the staging ground. Until Taiwan is taken, I don't think we're going to see a kinetic exchange between the US and China. You have the Syria, Turkey, the Middle East, the crossroads between the Middle East and Europe. You have Venezuela, you have Ireland flaring up, you have India, China, you have the Ukraine heating up with Russia. All of these battle lines are being drawn. The pieces are being moved into position. And what we need to understand is that this isn't something which is going to happen overnight, but it seems like it's going to be inevitable. There are many different dimensions of this coming escalation between superpowers. There, most importantly and most underestimated, is the cyber threat dimension. We're going to be doing a deep dive into cybersecurity in the not so distant future. And I assure you, the things that I'm learning about it are shocking, to say the least. Absolutely shocking. The capabilities and the hell that would be unleashed if there was a kinetic exchange by the push of a few buttons. Never mind electromagnetic pulse. If you don't know what a zero-day exploit is, if you don't know what sleeper software is, you need to educate yourself, because this is potentially the next big event that's going to be on the news. I think it's only a matter of time. It's amazing, just like the same way it was amazing that a pandemic never happened sooner. It's amazing it hasn't happened yet. I mean, it's happened, but it hasn't happened on a massive, really impactful scale like it absolutely could. Yes, Ukraine had part of their power grid shut down by Russian hackers. That is true, but that is just the beginning. What you need to understand is that the more technology advances, the more cloud computing advances, the more servers there are out there, the more connected, the more nodes there are onto the network, the greater the likelihood of cyber security issues. It's not that we're getting better at it. Every time you introduce a new piece of technology to the grid, that's another potential gateway. Okay, so we're going to talk all about that in the future video. But cyber is one aspect. There's also biological. Okay, nobody wants to talk about it because it's pretty taboo, but biological threat is most definitely a threat. I'm not just talking about things that put themselves together through evolutionary processes. I'm talking about the very real potential for artificial bugs to be unleashed, or something which is in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not intentional, it may be by accident or otherwise, but that is definitely going to be a factor. Look, when it finally goes down, everything's going to happen at once. Economic collapse, the civil clashes between all of these dichotomies and all the different countries, the left and the rights and the blah, blah, blah. You know, in Ireland, it's starting to flare up again. I don't know a whole lot about that particular situation, but what I've been told is that there still is a lot of underlying tension. And you know what I think, just as a sidebar, I think that there's a lot of people who are probably still very resentful for what happened in WW2. And I think there's a lot of countries out there who are just biding their time and they're just waiting, for it to all go down again. I mean, you got to think there were many countries who took it real hard, okay, in the you-know-where. I think there's a lot of countries who are playing the game. They're doing the whole Sun Tzu thing, the art of war. They're keeping calm, keeping quiet, slowly kind of building themselves up and waiting for the next exchange. So that's another thing. There's going to be attrition. There's going to be economic. There's going to be embargoes. There's going to be tariffs, trade wars. But those are the main fronts of WW3. You have your cyber, your economic, your kinetic, your biological, your cultural, and also a big component of this, the first line of defense, is going to be the info war, okay? And that is a term which unfortunately has been fouled by various alternative media networks, but it's a very real thing. If you guys only knew what was going on in the shadows, what sort of a conflict was being waged behind the scenes to influence public opinion in anticipation, in lead up to this major clash, it would probably scare the crap out of most people to understand just how big the dark web and the black budgets of the world actually were. While the internet has allowed us to be more informed than ever before, it has also allowed us to be more disinformed than ever before. And I think that documentary called The Social Dilemma, which talked about how because the internet creates these echo chambers and radicalizes people, I really don't think that that documentary went far enough to really communicate the gravity of the situation when it comes to that. And so things are definitely escalating around the world, and it's going to be easy to be lulled back into a state of complacency because really, honestly, right now, things are mostly calm with the exception of some flare-ups here and there. But as we peel back the layers of this economic facade that make everything look like, the ship is still afloat and it's not sinking, there's nobody bailing out water, everything's calm, and the calm, we're maybe in the eye of the storm, maybe it's the calm before the storm. I personally think that things have the potential to get quite crazy. You have the Chauvin trial, which is going on right now. If that doesn't end how people want it to end, then things are going to go bad. You have right now in Canada, at least, we're in the third wave, and we're basically setting records now. The US, you guys got it earlier than everybody else. Now the rest of the world is basically catching up to where the US is at with that. Is that going to continue to mutate and blah, blah, blah? I don't even want to talk about that anymore, just like I'm sure many of you don't. But we've been calling that with 75% accuracy all through this whole thing. I anticipate that it's going to continue to do what it does. Viruses are going to continue to adapt, and it's the same reason why we've never eradicated the flu virus. This is going to be with us forever. How that plays out in terms of health policy and all the rest, I don't even want to think about it. We got Bitcoin. Okay, so Peter Thiel, he's a venture capitalist. I believe he funded PayPal, Facebook, and a couple other things. He thinks that Bitcoin is being used by China to destabilize the US dollar. I wonder where we've heard that before. Oh yeah, we've heard that on Canadian Preppers channel before. Yet another thing that we can add to my list of semi-accurate predictions. Yes, they're vague predictions, but they seem to be coming true. Go watch my video, The World After 2020, and you tell me if that video that was made in late 2019 is at all indicative of what is going on right now. But I think he's onto something there. And what he means by that is the Chinese are very heavily invested into Bitcoin, even though on the government end of things, they make out like they're regulating against it and they don't like it, and just like most governments are, but there may be some underhanded play with that, okay? So that's definitely something to pay attention to, and I've brought that up before, how if anything was going to destabilize the US dollar, it's going to be Bitcoin or one of these other cryptocurrencies or some transactional layer which is built upon the Bitcoin network to allow it to be used as an everyday currency. We also have the whole climate issue. I know people don't like to hear about that, but I can tell you right now, the last few weeks, we've seen record temperatures. Honestly, temperatures that I've never consistently seen in April, ever, in the 20s, okay? In Saskatchewan, one of the coldest places in North America, we're seeing temperatures which are room temperature in April. That's just absolutely unreal and unheard of. And it's not just one day, it's consistently. Yeah, we have, these periodic snowfalls, but it quickly melts and then it's 20 again the next day. It's just the weirdest, wildest, wackiest weather. The Arctic sea ice is on track to have the lowest recorded sea ice ever this year. So all I'm saying is that it's all going to come to a head. And remember, it's when nations are under economic stress. That's when people become stressed. That's when old, smoldering cultural disputes flare up. And that's when civil unrest starts to happen. And because we live in this information or disinformation age, it's very easy for the underworld hacksters of the world to go in, and not even necessarily the hackers, but just the troll farms, right? The troll farms of the world who are on the black budgets of every country in the world who has a lot of money to spend. They're out there causing a ruckus because it's easy to do. The US is a glass house. It's easy to destabilize the US. That's one of the consequences of being a free country, is that you basically open your internet up to the world so that people can come on and, stir the pot. My best advice for you right now is focus on your physical health. We're going to be doing a lot of really cool videos in the not so distant future, not only about health and fitness. We're going to be talking about gear reviews. We're going to be talking about the cybersecurity threats that are very pervasive and only becoming more and more of an issue. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that I had, is thinking that cybersecurity was actually something which was getting better as we knew more about it and as the people who wrote software became better at it. But based on my research, the opposite is true. So stick around for that. But I encourage you, focus on exercise right now. Try to stay healthy. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, is get your heart rate up within a reasonable range, okay? Within a reasonable active range for your age group. Obviously, only do so after consulting with a physician. If your physician is you, then guess that's all you can consult with, right? If that's all you can afford. I have this store, CanadianPreparedness.com, where I try to have all of the quality stuff in one place. And if you use the discount code in the description, it's going to be the best price you can find. And the reason why is because we do free shipping to anywhere in North America. And if I could only tell you the heat that I've been coming under lately in order to do what I'm doing in that department, I might have to make a video about it, but I just don't want to, I don't want to play the victim card. Let's put it that way. But I think it's almost worth knowing, because it's becoming a preparedness issue. It's getting to that point. But anyways, guys, you guys just take care of yourself out there. And one final thing, and you're going to hear more about this in the coming weeks and months. Myself and 3 other channels are going to be starting a collaboration channel where every 2 weeks we meet and we engage in in-depth dialogue about preparedness. So it's going to be for you advanced preppers out there who like to talk about more advanced preparedness concepts. So we're going to have a channel with the 3 other channels that I'm going to mention in upcoming videos. Okay, we're going to save that. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag quite yet, but it's going to be awesome. And it's just going to be us conversing, talking about prepping. Anyways, guys, take care of your families. Enjoy these moments. Enjoy every day like it's the last. Don't sweat the small stuff if at all possible. And if you are going through hard times right now, just keep going. Keep working hard. It will pay off. It will pay off. Even if you are having a bad day or a bad week or a terrible month or just a terrible year, okay? If you just keep going, I'm telling you right now, if you keep going and you keep working your ass off and you do it smart and you educate yourself, that's the most important thing, constant education. If you do all those things, there's no way you can fail. Unless you get hit by a bus, then you're screwed. Anyways, take care, guys. Canadian Prepper out.